What is up, everybody? Solomon here. I hope you guys are having a great Monday. Obviously, we've seen some negative price action within the digital asset space. Really, that's just been kind of going on for the past few weeks at this point in time, past couple months, actually. If we look at where the price is at right now with Bitcoin, we're sitting at $41,737.49. Interestingly enough, I know that a lot of you guys follow and are big fans of Blockchain Backer. I certainly follow and pay attention to everything that he posts as well. Probably 4 or 5 days ago, he kind of called that 39.5 range as far as what it was going to potentially wick down to, and it certainly did something very, very similar today, very close. I think within probably, arguably, depending on what charts you're looking at, within $50. We did have a full body weekly candle close below this trend line that we've basically been holding since March of 2020, which is really interesting to me, at least. I try to look at things, in a much more simple way. I obviously have the 21 EMA and the 50 EMA posted here, but you can see touching base on support, holding support, holding support, holding support briefly, and then breaking down below right here with this candle that closed Sunday night. So regardless of any of that, my thoughts behind the market and where it's at right now, I'm not going to sit here and say that we're going to go full bear or sit here and say that we're going to have some sort of a revolutionary pump. I do think that we need to probably retrace to the upside. But I believe very much so that within any market you're going, especially in a new market such as digital assets, and make no mistake about it, this is a new market. DeFi, NFTs, all of these things are definitely new. 2009 to 2022 is not a very long time frame. 12 years, right? Or 13 years. So it's dealing in oversaturation, in my opinion. I remember deep diving into the top 2,500 assets on CoinMarketCap probably late 2020, November, December 2020 timeframe. And I believe that there was probably between 6,000 and 7,500 cryptos on CoinMarketCap. And these are just the ones that CoinMarketCap's listed. Right now, CoinMarketCap, so within literally a little over a year, 16,614. If we look at the new cryptocurrencies that are being launched, and this is why I talk about dealing in unsustainability, kind of that oversaturation mechanism. I mean, shit, we've got a token literally called Shiba Inu Classic. Tons of gaming ones. If you're able to vet out the 50 or 60 gaming ones that are released every single day, and if you think that every single one of them is going to be the next best thing as far as gamification and crypto or metaverse and all these things, I'm sorry to tell you that, in my opinion, we're going to continuously see more and more cryptocurrencies, but oversaturation needs flushed out at some point in time. We need a lot of these projects we need all of the projects that are trying to innovate and good actors to try to innovate, but some of them are just going to fail. That's the nature of the beast. We need that failure. We need that kind of consolidation back into utility that is more sustainable, projects that are more sustainable, that have ecosystems that are solving problems, not just coming up with a use case that doesn't necessarily need solved. I'm not saying that gamification goes away or NFTs or metaverse go away whatsoever, but or meme coins even. We're just so oversaturated right now. We have been for quite some time. I mean, you can go down the list here. If you ask me if I'm going to be putting my money from an investment standpoint into a token called Chicken Feed, I would probably say no. Ghost Inu, some of these ones, who knows, some of these ones could do well. We're clearly oversaturated. I don't know what the hell Erzurum Spore. So it's almost it's not almost. It's certainly a cash grab with a lot of these. I would say 90% of these coins and tokens that are launching. So that's kind of my take on it. One tool that and I'm going to go into something here because I think that it makes a lot of sense for us to step back and look at this market from a larger time frame. Regardless if you're bullish or bearish, the people that are investing into this space, even the whales, they know how to leverage your feelings. They know how to leverage your greed, and they know how to leverage your fear, and that is what they are best at, and that is why they've become the whales that they are at this point in time in this market, or at least one of the reasons potentially why. So we need to step back and we really need to look at this market from a bigger standpoint. One tool that I've showcased a couple of times, maybe I'll do that at the end. So let me go in kind of looking at the bigger picture here. Now, I saw this late last week. We can see all of the major players that are just fully enveloped into this space at this point in time. And this is just an example for the past 3 or 4 days. This is a company called Neuron, leveraging the Hedera Hashgraph network for drone radar system in the United Kingdom's government-sponsored trial. I'll let you read through this, but Neuron is essentially, you guys are going to kill me for how I'm pronouncing that. Neuron. I'll say Neuron. Is a leader in aviation tech and air traffic critical national infrastructure, and they are leveraging Hedera Hashgraph. So that's one example. If you want to check out Neuron's I hate pronouncing it like that. Neuron's website, go ahead and check it out. I believe it's neuron.world/home. This document here that I found is insanely valuable. Now, this is August 2021, so take it with a grain of salt. So let me go through the more recent stuff here first, and then I will hop back into that. I just saw this as well today. So PayPal exploring the launch of their own stablecoin and a cryptocurrency push. Now, again, you have to kind of understand that this was, at least from what PayPal is saying, it was through a hackathon, and there was a developer that actually found this in an open repository within GitHub, I believe. But it's basically entitled PayPal Coin. There's kind of the symbol, the logo, but they do these tech sprints, and this is probably what this was. But I certainly believe that, and this was a stable coin, I certainly believe that, we're going to see a lot of the major payments providers from a peer-to-peer standpoint, things like PayPal getting into the space from a stablecoin standpoint, kind of walling their garden in, which obviously, as we all know, attaching something to unstable fiat kind of just goes against the mechanism of stablecoin to me long-term in this space anyways. So also found something from Ernst & Young. If you're not aware who Ernst & Young is, they're one of the big 4 accounting firms globally, along with Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG. Now, they've certainly mentioned many of the assets that we know and love many times. All 4 of the big firms have mentioned all of the assets that we know and love from a utility standpoint. But again, we're seeing drones here in the journey to procurement digitization, just a targeted key search within this. Blockchain obviously mentioned, I think, 11 times within this. And real quick, before I hop into that longer document, MetaKey essentially being a partner sponsor for the Australian Open, which obviously we know tennis is a gigantic sport for many people. I'm not a huge tennis guy, but maybe some of you are. This is going to be dealing in NFTs, and I believe that this is partnered with Decentraland and Run It Wild as well. Essentially, these kind of on-chain, or these unique assets that are living within the chain that are going to potentially be dropped on a plot of land within Decentraland, and if it drops on your land, you'll get one of these physical Australian Open metaverse tennis balls, along with, I'm sure, a lot of other different things in the future as well. But it's more visibility, and this is, again, just probably the past 3 or 4 days that we're seeing. Regardless of the oversaturation and the price correction within Bitcoin, and obviously across the entire spectrum, we have to just continuously zoom out. I know for a fact that over 2018, 2019, and prior to the end of consolidation in 2020, we saw more mergers and acquisitions and partnerships from a tech and a finance and a payment standpoint with traditional financial players and blockchain mechanisms than we've ever seen in the history of payments mechanisms, period, across the board. And that wasn't by mistake. I mean, these markets during these, even if they're slight downturns, during these downturns, the players and the powers that be are not stopping developing. They're not stopping innovating. And this is why I wanted to kind of end off with this. This is from, I'm not going to try to pronounce this bank, but it's the oldest bank in Germany. And I hadn't seen this yet, but this is an introduction to digital assets. Now, they very much so reconfirm everything that we think about where this market goes. Blockchain fundamentals. Companies are expected to spend approximately $20 billion per year on blockchain technical services up through 2024. I saw a lot of really interesting things in here. I'm going to try to pinpoint a couple of them for you guys. Now they're kind of dealing with the Internet of Information versus the Internet of Value, which, and decentralization, which we certainly have talked about multiple times. The journey of a Bitcoin transaction, which I am not going to go into, because I think peer-to-peer mechanisms. I think Bitcoin is going to continue to be utilized for that, I guess, to an extent. But we see so much more efficiency and utility in some of these other assets with just far better consensus mechanisms that enable these assets to transmit faster. And cheaper for the user. Building consensus. What I did want to get into here, again, 11,000 more cryptocurrencies. They're talking about social networks, which I think is going to be really interesting. Now, 2.5 billion is a drop in the bucket now for NFTs. This was the first half of 2021. I'm pretty sure in the second half it was closer to $15 billion, which is just an insane trajectory. But I do want to get down into CBDCs they talk about here. And this, again, is just a revalidation. Now, you've got the oldest bank in Germany talking about, in July of 2021, the European Central Bank announcing the launch of their central bank digital currency project. They're telling you what the goal is. Once again, the goal is to provide a marketable product after the 2-year exploration phase. So we've already seen that exploration phase is essentially going to really take us into that 2023 time frame with kind of the redesign of the euro rolled out in 2024, and the MVP, so the minimum viable product for a production launch, is going to be 2025, which aligns us to a lot of the initiatives that we all know and love within this space and that we've been paying attention to. No decision yet regarding IT architecture, especially the use of blockchain technology. And last but not least within this, let me see if I can find this. Price volatility of Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. Ethereum transactions going into DeFi. This is what was interesting to me, okay? Now, this is between hype and paradigm shift. Where we stand and where we are headed. And this is another very interesting thing right here. I mean, this is Amara's Law right here. How we estimate the impact of a new technology and actual technology-driven productivity. Now, I would allude this very much so to a lot of the things that we see with price. In a bear market, I think things are oversold and undervalued, certainly. In a bull market, when things start to go very, very hypey, potentially even bordering on parabolic, things are overvalued and the market is oversaturated. But we can see, I mean, this is historically just correct within this market, just like any other market. You kind of see that level kind of upwards trajectory that is more stable, where you're going to have the market speculate and the market's going to do what it's going to do, and then it's going to blow off the top, and then we're going to have it being completely undervalued, and then people that are willing to buy in when everybody says it's dead are going to be the ones that win if they buy into utility and just sit and wait. Literally, it sucks to wait, I know, but sit and wait maybe a year, maybe 2 years. And Boston Consulting Group believing digital assets could become the biggest financial asset by the end of the decade. Now, I would argue that that's even a little bit of a misinterpretation or an underestimate of where this goes, because if you look at just a lot of the assets globally, gold would certainly ring a bell with an $11.41 trillion market cap. But the majority of these companies are certainly going to be using blockchain and digital assets as well, so you can take that as you want to take it. I do think it's interesting to pay attention to things like very simple things if you're not a good TA guy. Look into Bitcoin.com. I really like the golden ratio multiplier. Generally, anytime you dip below the lowest level within this, and you measure it out, I mean, which we're there right now. We briefly touched below it in 20th of July at $29,962, and we rallied all the way up to that 60, whatever it was, 64K or 68K or whatever. We're below it again now, but you can look historically at when we've been below, and I guarantee you a lot of the whales start buying with a lot of mechanisms like this, at least dipping their toes back into the market and buying people's fear. Now they may not be blowing the whole wad within the first time that we dip below certain mechanisms. They have tons of triggers that they're going to be utilizing. Anybody that's done technical analysis for a long time probably has multiple different factors. They need multiple confirmation points to be able to make trades, obviously. But this just goes to show, I mean, from one simple mechanism, buying below the lowest level here, waiting it out, and sometimes you have to wait a little bit longer, sometimes you don't, but if this is kind of what we deal in here is overhyped and oversaturated versus oversold, and certainly too much fear in the market. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, going to try to do another one tomorrow if I can find value in doing so for you all. And again, kind of zoom out. We're not looking at a tree here. We're looking at a forest, and we're looking at a forest of complete global shifts as far as the way that finance is transmitted, as far as the way that decentralized finance is going to shake all the trees within those forests. And NFTs, you know, are going to really change the world as well. It's not going to just be about art. That plays a role also, but you know, there's so many different unique assets that are going to be tokenized in the future. We see it every single day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you later.